Welcome to the Smith and Rowland Show. Let's join our host, Alan Smith and Jeff Rowland.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to the casting of pods from the Smith and Rowland studios.
Here we are.
What a wonderful day it is to be alive.
It is a very good day, Roland.
Yeah.
Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you this morning, Mr. Smith.
In the top of the studios of the Smith and Rowland Show.
Yeah,
early this morning.
Yeah, early this morning.
We're doing
early.
This is an early version. Sun's not up yet, but it's coming up.
That's right.
Early version of Smith and Rowland. And Rowland, that means that we are at the top of our game.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, yeah, very top of our game, because we're always the best early in the morning, then it's downhill from there.
Not me, because at this hour of the day, it gives me the tendency to go.
That's right. So that might be your best. Got an article here in the stream. Yep. Elon Musk tweets to Trump. Now, Jeff, this is a topic that's going to explode, I think, in the Christian community. It's going to explode in conversation among Christians. It's going to be very divisive among Christians. Americans, yes, but Christians, I think, are going to
even
be
more so
at the center of this. Elon Musk tweets to Trump, no more federal bribes for churches that traffic immigrants. Vance calls out bishops for profiteering.
Wow.
What do you I mean, I was enlightened by this article. I mean, I knew some of this stuff was going on, but my worldview has now been expanded once again. I had to knock out some walls and make a little room for some of these things I have to now consider as far as immigration, the church, and that type thing.
The Catholic hierarchy is as political as it is anything else. And because of that in itself is going to stir some of these issues. The Catholic Church takes a different approach, but here the problem is because they still call themselves a church. It has kind of a downward flow toward the rest of church life. So churches will be judged on these political issues. In many ways, churches will be judged based off of what the Catholic Church is already doing. Right. I believe that.
Yeah.
And I think that we'll see, as this tweet allows, a lot of what is going on, you will find more of it in the Catholic Church than you will anywhere else. However, I think what you say is true, that this issue of immigration and how it's being dealt with is a issue that is going to be divisive in the Christian community.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the church is seen as always having basically an open door policy. If you're downtrodden, if you're a druggie and alcoholic, divorced, in other words, one of the messages of the church, whether it be Catholic or Protestant, is that come as you are, Christ will take care of your every need, and repent, receive Christ. So our message is and which would include the immigrant, if you're just taking humanity just across the board, so to speak. So that presents a problem, and that is, how do you stay Christian in your behavior? In this article, of course, today we're talking about the immigrant. We can go in a lot of other facets of people who are downtrodden or down in life at the moment.
Yeah.
But right now, this topic, because of this article and because of what's happening in immigration, we're talking about the topic of the church versus immigration. Now, we need to make a distinction in immigration. You've got illegal immigration and you've got legal immigration.
Yeah.
So people quickly want to call immigration, but I think we have to make a distinction. I'm not saying at this point to make a judgment. I'm just saying we need to make a distinction. And is it illegal immigration or is it illegal immigration? In our prior discussion, you mentioned, well, sometimes these things have to be judged on a individual basis, which I totally agree with you. It's hard to make one blanket statement. In other words, if you have to manage it, you might have to make a blanket statement. But the truth is, it's best if it was judged on a case-by-case basis and then determine. I mean, if you've got a wife and 3 kids. And I think another thing we need to consider, Jeff, is that most Christians are just now being enlightened to the fact that immigration is actually a stream for human trafficking.
Yeah,
you see
right.
that it's the parasite
right.
on the immigration, or what hides behind the theme immigration is this wicked and evil parasite called human trafficking. Because there's over 200,000 by the government's reports, over 200,000 children over the last 4 years that are unaccountable for that came across the border.
Yeah.
Over 200,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they know they went into child trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You see, so you can't talk about immigration unless you talk about this huge percentage of human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
And so immigration, illegal immigration, at best is still human trafficking.
And drug smuggling.
And I don't care how you judge it, you're still trafficking humans, and it might be for good reasons, it might be for bad reasons, whatever. I mean, you might not be wanting to sell somebody into the human trafficking trade, but we need to understand and define our terms. Illegal immigration is, and then if you're helping illegal immigration, then you're being part of human trafficking.
Yeah.
So then that degrades just from helping somebody feed their children down to the children, women being exploited. So it's a bigger problem.
Where this issue meets the church,
yes,
is a very interesting topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We don't stand at the door of the church and everybody that comes in, we don't ask them, okay, did you participate this week in any illegal activities?
Mm-hmm.
If so, you can't come in. If you did not, then you're welcome to come in.
No,
we don't do that.
That's a very good point.
And
I'm glad because we couldn't get an offering.
No.
You've heard the old country song where the girl's singing now that her grandpa's the one that built the church, and of course he had the biggest steal in the county. But anyway, liquor steal.
Yeah, I got you. Well, my point is, when you're dealing with the church, it's open to the public. You bring them and you preach Christ to them.
Mm-hmm.
You preach Jesus to them. Where these nuances are going to become a divisive thing is when you have leadership in the church that begins to protect not just illegal immigrants, but illegal immigrants that are participating in violent crimes against our society.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at in a lot of cases with, say, even the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason I bring up the Catholic Church, is because you can go into a Catholic church and be a known lawbreaker and they'll still give you asylum.
Correct.
And apparently, according to this article, that's the government's been bribing them to do so. I'm not surprised at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the last 4 years, our it's increased by about 20 million immigrants, and we're sending planes into countries, or was for the last 4 years. We were sending airplanes into other countries and cleaning out their jails and packing them in planes and bringing them over here and then dropping them off and scattering them off
through sanctuary cities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, however, for whatever the thinking was in doing that, we can debate all of that, but the reality is they are now here. They're here.
Mm-hmm.
And involved in that is, like you were saying, human trafficking. With the whole illegal immigration, you have the drug smuggling. There's all kinds of things that's coming into our country that's killing people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is the church, do we cry out against those things that are perpetrated against our society that is killing people?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer is yes. And so we're in this very weird place because we had a corrupt government.
Mm-hmm.
And is this going to be left at the doorstep of the church to deal with? The answer to that, I would think, would be yes. It's heading in that direction. And it's going to head there more so. Because the problem is the people from the other countries that are coming in here are more religiously minded than our own society.
Mm-hmm.
And that part's true. Mm-hmm. They are more religiously minded. So even though they deny the teachings of the Scripture, they will use religion and church as a cover for what illegal activity they're involved with. Yeah. So that's going to be a problem. Yeah. And leadership's going to take strong leadership in a church to navigate through that. I think we have a call to be patriotic. I think we have a call to be mindful of the laws of our land. Those type things we're going to have to submit to where it does not break the law of God. And therein lies the big rub. You've got this difference of opinion on where those lines intersect. And so, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. I don't know, you and I were having some conversations about how we approach mission type activity to the immigrants. We've had conversations in the past about that. We were talking with a church up in Swannanoa that during this flood and the hurricane that came through that created such devastation, over half of the people they're ministering to up there are Hispanics. I don't know how many of those people are illegals. I don't know how many are here illegally.
but most of them don't speak English.
No, they don't.
So they've not been here. It wouldn't indicate they've been here very long.
Very long. And I want to just say this. This is where I have a problem. I differentiate between illegal immigrants and illegal immigrants that are here to perpetrate violence. I think those are two different sets of people, and I think they should be dealt with differently.
Of course, I agree.
I just think they should. So if someone is genuinely coming here to better themselves and running from the oppression that they were facing in another country, that's one set of illegal immigrants that should be dealt with in a different way. Just like if somebody gets a ticket for speeding, that's a whole lot different than the way you deal with them if they were drunk behind the wheel ended up killing somebody.
That's right.
So there's subsets of people that's going to require judgments. What the Trump administration is doing right now is they're rounding up people who have been arrested numerous times, who have violent history, and they're picking them up and deporting them. Praise God. Hallelujah. I want them gone. I don't want them here. They have no reason to be here. So I'm glad for that. When you get down to this place of what is our present government going to do concerning the church's behavior with illegal immigration, we've got to start defining what that behavior is.
Yeah. Well, also, Jeff, I have some acquaintances like down in San Miguel, Mexico, as an example. Over 50% of that little town is made up of internationals. France, huge amount from United States.
Wow.
People will go to these towns and they can live very well off of their Social Security checks.
Yeah.
They got nice homes. They've got servants, so to speak, to clean their homes, wash their clothes.
Wow.
And they're living off the Social Security checks. Well, now since we're having this big deal about immigration, deportation, United States, and yada, 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 now that's like in that little town down there in Mexico, now a lot of the Mexican citizens are upset that their government's allowing these people from other countries to come in and take up their cities.
Don't blame them.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't blame them.
Well, there is
a
difference now. These people coming in are legal.
Yeah, right.
They're not coming in illegally. So the difference in the two scenarios is one's illegal, one's legal. But the pressure that now the truth is these foreigners coming in their cities increases the money, gives them jobs. It's a very positive thing.
Yeah.
Because the people that are coming in are looking to better their situation, which betters in reality, it's good for these little towns that these foreigners come in to
totally
retire.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
And also, the immigration policies of other countries is a whole lot stronger than ours are.
But you can see when you get into the race.
I do understand. I do understand that with the political bombshell that immigration is in America, that's going to create a paradigm where people in other countries are going to say, well, why is the Americans here? But we are there legally, which is a different
legally.
It's a different
and
thing.
It's bringing in they're bringing in American dollars, but also it's created this problem now of the cartels are now kidnapping these foreigners and getting ransom back to their families for them.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's I mean, it's had a few years here, probably 30 years or so. It was a utopia for foreigners to come into Mexico and live in a higher standard than they would back home.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Americans, just a lot of Americans. And I think I would be correct in saying San Miguel's probably, I could be corrected here, but the last figures I heard, which is probably been 5, 6, 7 years ago, was they were already over 50% international.
Wow.
People. A lot of French. A lot of French speaking.
Really?
Yeah.
And I would think that the Mexican government would welcome that because of
it has been, but now there's, some of them are saying down there, okay, y'all were rejecting us.
Yeah.
And we've received you.
I understand that.
What's the deal here?
I understand that. And of course, but the difference is what you pointed out, that one's legal and one's not. If we had, you know this, I don't think our country would be able to sustain a situation where the border was absolutely closed to even legal immigration. We couldn't sustain it. We need legal immigration. We need the people.
We need. Let me interject something here. Part of the argument too, Jeff, is that it's said, well, let's leave it open for doctors or engineers or to all of these impressive people that that are really smart. Let's let them come on into the United States. And I understand that, but the problem with the other countries are they're saying, listen, we need our smart people to stay here.
Yeah, right.
So United States only takes in, it's depleting all of our countries because you're letting all of our smart people that we need here into your country. Nobody else can. So you're taking the cream of our people and you're kicking all the coals back. Yeah. You see, so it creates it does. It creates
I totally
a huge dynamic. It almost looks like of course, some were saying, well, you're raping our country. You're making all of these, we'll pay you this and help you. We're doing all of these incentives to getting all the smart people. And I know Elon Musk, we've got this other thing on immigration on how you can come here as a professional. And there's been big debate on that one. I forget the number of the call number of it, but nonetheless, Elon, it was for let's let these smart people come in and whatever. I see the thinking on that, but then if we truly want to consider these other countries, I'm not so sure for us to be selective and we want your best people, but your worst people we don't want. That's something we need to reconsider. I don't think that's. I understand it, but.
Well,
we're creating a problem in other countries.
Well, let me also say this. If we are going to allow people from other countries to come in where we educate them through our universities and then send them back to their country to do their work, I got a problem with that.
Well, yeah, if our universities were teaching something worthwhile.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm talking about in the field of sciences and engineering and all of those type things, and that goes on all the time. I mean, most of the foreign leaders in the world were educated in the United States. So there's all kinds of nuances where it comes to this immigration thing, and people take one nuance and build an opinion about the way immigration should work, and it won't work across the board of that issue. No, you got to take the totality of the issue and say what is the best for our country. And if it's the best for our country that someone who moves to another country, maybe even legally, so that their money is worth more, if it ruins that party for them, it just ruins that party for
Yeah,
them.
it just does.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I agree.
because you have to take an approach of what is the best, and one thing we know is not the best is taking in 20 million people in the span of 4 years, most of which belong to gangs that come over here and rape little girls and murder people. No, we can't allow that.
No.
We just can't allow
Well,
that.
that's another even topic. I don't even call that immigration. I call that invasion.
That's invasion. And I don't think the church should support that.
Invasion.
No. The church should be against that. The church should stand against that. So we have an obligation at that point where we get into this situation where it's going to require judgment. We're going to have to make some serious judgment calls, and that scares most people that's in leadership in the church. For some reason, they don't want to make a decision. They would rather find comfort and safety in someone else making a decision for them because they don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and I've preached this several times. You can fear doing wrong to the point that you never do right. And I think that could be, I'm not saying it is, but that could come into play in days ahead for the church in America.
Most definitely.
We're going to have to start making some judgment calls and some decisions that we might even make us feel uncomfortable, but we're going to have to seek God and find the wisdom of the Lord in it, and we're going to have to make a decision and go with it.
Well, Jeff, another issue here is immigration. But the other thing is when churches fund missions in other countries.
Yeah.
Now, that sounds like something, well, how could that be a problem? But we do have situations where the United States, Cuba being an example, a communist country, it is illegal to send American dollars down to Cuba. This is my understanding. And so we have to, as a church, and we have a lot of churches in Cuba, mission organizations fund and support churches in Cuba. But there again, it's against the American laws.
Yeah.
So what does a church do there, Jeff? I mean, to me, immigration is a very broad topic, and let me tell you why. People jump up and down about people coming across the border, and I totally get it. I'm right there with it. But they don't jump up and down, and they say the reason they're against it takes American jobs. We have to keep people up, takes our jobs away, yada, yada, yada. But we don't have any problem with shipping in 10 million cars from Korea
right,
or from China.
Right.
Or popsicle sticks or anything. And in other words, you've got to understand, imports is the same thing as immigration.
I agree.
Because you see what I'm saying?
Completely
and
agree.
people have no problem. Oh, yeah, we can buy it. Listen, upstanding American businessmen would not support illegal immigration, but their whole business plan and models based off of getting stuff out of China, which is a communist country.
Right. You're supporting a communist
you're supporting
regime.
Your monies are going into that. You can't negate the fact.
I totally agree
that your money's going into that system.
I totally agree.
And so my question is, all right, we got immigration, 101, but let me tell you what it is, 102 or 201 or whatever. The next thing is when you bring in imports, you then you maybe didn't bring the individual in, but you brought in everything that the individual does.
Yeah.
And that's the same fear if people come across the border and come here, you take our jobs, you da-da-da-da. Well, what do you think that is?
Right.
So to me, you have an invasion in our country in immigration and imports.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're having people, and Trump is saying he's going to put tariffs on them. That's the smartest thing I've heard anybody said yet.
I was going to say the answer to what you're saying is in this big, beautiful word that Trump calls it of tariffs.
Yeah. Yeah, but most Americans, a lot of them are against it, but I don't think you understand what's happening here.
Yeah, totally.
You've got to handle imports as in the same conversation as immigration. And if you want understanding about what are you going to deal with it? Well, you can't handle but so many immigrants. I don't care if they're legal or not.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all, you can't handle but so many imports. And we've just about gotten to where the United States is just one big Walmart.
Yeah.
From all the imports.
Absolutely.
We're just and now they're talking about taking over the Panama Canal. Now they're wanting to build another type of a Panama Canal right above it.
Yeah.
And which will probably happen. And so everything is more imports. I'm telling you, the United States is ending up being one big Walmart.
Yeah. We're
not going to make anything. We import everything. And so therefore we've done away with all of our problems.
Yeah. There's no doubt that.
But anyway, I just throw that in there.
Well, I mean, both of those issues are akin to each other. They are. I totally agree. The parallels are there. It's very obvious to see. I do think that with Trump's speech at Davos, where he spoke to the World Economic Forum and told them, there's an easy way to ease the tension on the tariffs. Just make your products in America.
That's right.
Just come to America, build your plant, make your products here. Invest in this country. And one thing about being the Walmart shoppers of the world and buying everything from other countries, the one leverage that does give you is we're just going to stop buying your products. Trump is a president that has come along that's at least willing to say that to other countries. This is what you're going to do, or we're no longer buying your products. You come and build it here.
Listen, China would fold tomorrow if it didn't.
If we stop buying from China, they're gone.
They're running off our dollars.
They're running off of our dollars.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, how this cycle, we borrow and then and
now we're borrowing our dollars back from China.
So, there is that leverage that's going on back and forth. However, you was bringing up earlier about the supporting missions, and all that. That it's a new world for me in that. I was raised in where the missionaries that you supported were under what was called a missions board, the BMI Association or an IBM, and there was all kinds of different missions boards that dealt with the legalities of the country that the money was going to, that we had missionaries in. So then the missionaries were mainly from here going there, and then what churches they planted there with the people from that country came through them. So it's a different world for me in getting to know someone that is native to that country, that you build a relationship with that native from that country, and not through an emissary like a missionary. So it's a new paradigm for me. But I do understand that there are certain legalities at play. And I certainly don't want to be involved in, for example, if I meet an illegal or even a legal immigrant from Mexico, by chance, and he's building a work for God, but in order to build that work for God, he's got to pay off the cartel to do it. Let's just say.
To get it across the board.
Am I for that? The answer is no. I'm not for that. I think it's wrong. I think that what you're saying, well, I'm doing this great work that's right. Yeah, but you're doing a wrong in order to do a right. And any time that you have a wrong mixed with a right, it's automatically wrong, according to the principles of Scripture. So now I also understand that there's nuances about that, but that's what
the questions to be debated.
Yeah.
The topics.
And that is the question to be debated. You're right.
Because that's it's like all through history. I mean, Jeff, it was against the law in Germany in which to house and hide the Jews.
Right.
Well, look at Anne Frank. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah. In a situation.
I mean, I'm just saying there has to be.
Yeah. There has to be thought.
There has to be judgment.
Yeah, there has to be judgment, because in a situation like that, I would say that the Germans were violating the very laws of God in doing that. So then you're in a situation where, okay, am I going to obey the laws of man or the laws of God? I don't think that. I think it has to be judged based off, okay, am I going to pay off? Would I pay off a violent gang? Would I give money to this violent gang in order to keep them from raping the church, are perpetrating crimes against the church? The answer is no, I wouldn't, because you're doing nothing but giving money to an organization that's going to use it to perpetrate more violence on people. So I'm saying there is a world of judgment that has to go into that. And I think that the church is going to be tasked with having to have leaders that are as strong as the leadership that Donald Trump offers the country in order to navigate through all these issues.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of issues going to be coming up, Jeff, around these topics.
Yes, they are.
Of immigration, the church. Let's maybe get into this article a little more tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'd like for us to continue this discussion, if you would, because I did not realize that Christian organizations were actually being paid American dollars from our government.
Think about
to house and move around illegal immigrants.
Think about that.
And so that's something I'd like to discuss.
Yeah,
let's try it maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, say bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining today's Smith and Rowland Show. You can check out our website at kingdompropheticsociety.org and our daily Unplugged podcast at smithandrowlandshow.podbean.com. You can also join us on Amazon, Apple, or Spotify.